Good afternoon from the beautiful town of Salzburg.
Hello, everybody.
It's Media Room webinar time again. Short introduction from our side. My name is Henrik. I am responsible for all sales activities at Media Room, and I brought my beautiful colleague.
Yeah, the counterpart, the technical counterpart, Luca. I'm responsible for the product design and development.
From what I know, there is a lot of people in the webinar already who might know us from former webinars or from personal talks. So we are happy to see you here today because there is something you might have looked into already, saw first pictures, and showing what we came up with is basically really nice in this case, since it gives us a major step forward in what we want to achieve in general. If there is anyone who never scanned before and you want to see how our solution looks like, either give it a try, download the app. We're going to serve you with a QR code later on, find it in the App Store, or take a look at our videos already online on YouTube. When it comes to scanning essentials, you learn it from like the first step until the export.
Yeah, we have a lot of educational material. So from a 20-second video before the scan up to a 1-hour webinar where we go into the details of how to scan, best practices, we have you covered.
Exactly. Okay, having that said, let's jump into what is it about?
It's about enterprise building capture. So our new feature that we released around about 2 weeks ago, which allows you to capture much larger sites and spaces.
Yes. From what we can tell, what you will see in the next, I would say, half an hour, 45 minutes is the new tool, which is in beta phase.
Yeah, let's not call it tool, but it's rather a workflow.
It's a workflow.
Yeah.
It's in beta phase, and it is a first step in a direction we want to go. So there might be some questions we already know now, but yeah, let's first have a look before we start answering unasked questions.
Yeah, sure.
Let's jump into our little presentation. We brought some slides for you when it comes, of course, to the Media Room solution itself. You already know the path to go. It is the scan with the app first. It is the optimization in the workspace afterwards. And then last but not least, it's either working with a 3D model in general or just ending there or exporting it in the different export formats we serve with.
Exactly.
That's the way to go.
So the general way of how you use Media Room stays the same, even with this new feature.
Exactly. Let's move forward. We're gonna jump over the video in this case. We don't want to bore you with what you already know. From what you saw in media, either if it's social media, in the newsletters or whatever, you saw, I guess it was this picture. From what you saw, you see with whom we did it together. It was basically a hospital where Luca basically was on site as well, scanning. And we just wanted to take you into our thoughts and the challenges itself when it comes to a large building. I think if we would just walk through there right now, like clicking it.
It would take me a while to walk through the hospital.
I guess
no,
so.
Just kidding. The challenges that we faced. So again, to just repeat it, this was the largest ever scan done with an iPhone, which is really impressive. So we had to scan 60,000 square meters in this pilot project. So former projects were around about maybe 5,000, 6,000. So we multiplied it by 10 this time, just to get a feeling for this really massive project. There were 1,500 rooms that we needed to capture, spread over 8 buildings. And the best part of it, it all had to be done while the hospital was in full operation.
Exactly. And this is basically what you guys are facing out there as well. If you go scanning, if it's smaller sites or bigger sites, if it's a supermarket, whatever it could be, mainly there is people running around and it's in full operation, and we were facing the same there.
They weren't willing to shut down parts of it. But they still wanted the data to be captured. That's also why Media Room was chosen for the digitization process of the building, because it's minimally invasive.
Exactly.
yeah, how did we do it? So how did we organize ourselves doing this project? So we had quite a long, we had a very extensive planning phase together with the owners of this building. And finally, we decided to send a team of 3 people to do the scanning of the structure.
Yeah, I want to jump in here because we had that question in the German speaking webinar, which we could answer upfront already. So basically, what is possible now is that basically 3 people scan at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and then afterwards we put it back together.
Yeah.
Which is really new to the whole scanning scenario.
Yeah, before you just had the possibility in one session, you needed to scan everything, and this basically then gave you your model. Now you can split the work as well, so it gives a lot more possibilities in scaling. Also, like Henrik mentioned, scanning with multiple people. That's what we did for this project. There were 6 days of scanning in total. And 3 days of processing. So after we gathered all the single scans, bringing them together, like enhancing the model with room names and so on, it took us around about 3 days. And yeah, the outcome was estimated 92% cost saving for the customer.
I have to jump in here. This is not a number we figured out. This is a number the customer figured out and told us. So we are not like throwing around here with big numbers we just made up with ourselves or by ourselves. This is what the customer told us, which even was impressive for us.
we thought that we had some miscalculation, but yeah, it really was like that. So the alternative scanning solution would have cost that much more.
Exactly.
And what we delivered were 2D floor plans. So to create up-to-date fire protection plans. So this was an important requirement of the project. We also delivered 3D IFC files of the whole structure or of the whole site for building operations, basically. And the customer was also interested in documentation for the building renovation. So not only in terms of 2D pictures, but also notes and so on, which they took or which they told us during the scan what we should look for. And here also we see the power, let's call it the power of MetaRoom, by capturing like all this data and being able to deliver it also as 2D floor plan, 3D IFC, so the flexibility of the MetaRoom platform to work in those projects.
Yeah, and of course the documentation is a big thing on top of that, because you have like mostly all pictures you need afterwards. You have all notes afterwards, and you are able to keep it as a project file in the MetaRoom workspace.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we are telling things we say for the next slide, right?
Yeah.
So jumping in here when it comes to the workflow in general, I think you could open the first icon already. So what we faced with customers like during the last 3 years, the app just turned 3 years 2 weeks ago. Wow. Right? 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that some miss to do a proper planning upfront when it comes to scanning, because no matter how big a site is, either if it's 50 square meters, if it's 100, 1,000, or even 100,000, the planning upfront has to be really good. So basically, the bigger this site gets, the more time you should invest in the planning upfront. Because from what you saw in the hospital, we really had to Luca and his team really had to make a plan where to start, where to stop, where to put things together back together again. And same goes for family homes, for example. The better you plan, the better the result. So if you walk into a house, don't start scanning immediately until you have seen everything. Like, is everything prepared? Are all curtains opened? Is there enough light? Is nothing in the way of scanning?
Yeah, also make yourself familiar with the environment. Like, closed doors are always like a problem. Also, sometimes you don't know what is behind the door. What we figured out is if you have a good plan beforehand, like a strategy, how to scan the different rooms and so on, you're also less likely to forget something.
Yeah, and basically we are facing 2 scenarios. One is basically that you don't have an existing plan, so no plans at all. And when the bigger it gets, even if there is older plans, try to use them. Try to cross every room you already scanned, like to be sure that you don't scan double or like just waste time there. Yeah, but that's basically what we wanted to say with the first step. Second step, of course, it is the scanning. What we were facing in questions the last, 3 years was basically, do I need something like a second battery? I'm missing the right word right now.
Power bank.
A power bank. do I need a power bank? Whatever it is, how to scan in the proper way, and even is it good to go in flight mode or whatever it is? Yes, it is. It always is. Even there, the better you are prepared, the better it is. You know how big the sites are. You know if you need a power bank. What we are seeing with older iPhones, like 14, 13, whatever it is they are working already for 3 or 4 years, so the battery is empty quite fast. If you have something in your pocket, it could always help. Go in flight mode if you scan, because there is no things which could disturb you in between, like calls, WhatsApp messages. You are going out of the app. That always disturbs and is leading to bad
results.
Bad results.
So we really recommend, don't leave the app, focus on the scanning. And if you're scanning like not just let's say 10 rooms, but 100 in one go, this obviously takes some time. Even if you just take 2-3 minutes per room, this just takes some time, and disturbances are coming in all the way nowadays.
Exactly, and make sure that you already considered like how to use the snapshot. If it's the yellow one for a certain object, is it the blue one? Just to make sure that you have a clear plan again here.
Yeah. Also, we recommend scanning whole floors in one go. For this, we also introduced a feature in the app, I think a month ago, which is called large scan mode, which will activate automatically after you cross around about 400-500 square meters. It still captures, so the phone still captures the same data, but the visualization on the phone gets more lightweight to free up more resources for scanning.
Yeah. Next step.
Yeah, after the scanning is done, we come to the processing, so similar workflows as before. We go into workspace, take all our single projects, combine them, and also enhance the model.
Exactly, and what's really crucial here is to really use the features and tools we give you, like renaming the floors, renaming the rooms. The better you work here, the better the outcome is, and the easier it is to work with your whole data afterwards.
Also, one important part that we did not mention in the German webinar is that during the planning phase and scanning phase, if you named your single scans properly, also in this part of the process, it's much easier for you to combine the proper parts together. So here also planning plays an important role.
Yes. Last one.
Yeah, last but not least.
Export. Everyone knows about the export. In this case, if we are merging different floors, the export is, I was about to say limited to PDF plans and IFC plans in this case. Since it's still beta, but all other export formats will follow. But as far as we see right now, this is very good to go. And there is already a lot of export formats which work after you merged different projects.
Yeah, the most used ones on the platform are already supported, and we will continuously also add the other exports. So the goal is to have really the same functionality even for very large projects compared to having a single room.
Yes,
the goal.
That was a lot of information on PowerPoint slides on a Thursday afternoon, which nobody likes, but we had to go through it. But coming from here, we are jumping into the middle room workspace. Most of you should be familiar with the workspace, and we are jumping directly into the projects. And this is basically the point where I leave the conversation to
you go home
to Luca, because he's the one explaining it. And
as you see here on top of my project list, we have prepared like 3 floors of the building we want to like merge together today. Important to know that the enterprise building capture workflow always starts with an empty project. We put it here into this small submenu. There's now the possibility to create an empty project, which is always the start for combining multiple scans into a single model. So let's do it. We'll give it a scan name. Let's call it full building. And we search for a location, for example, our office here. You can just put the name in and it will give you examples for some addresses that it finds. And then we already start with the first step. So we created an empty project now, so it has nothing in it. So the first step is to add an existing project or scan to populate it with data.
What I have to jump in here and tell you guys is that we would have loved to showcase the hospital. We are not allowed to, which is it's
understandable
and quite clear why. So what we took is a floor of our office building, and like we cloned it 3 times to put it above each other, which is for us now in the webinar and in the short amount of time the easiest way to show it.
But it's also an interesting case, like if you have a building that always repeats itself, for example, in every floor, so the characteristics, the rooms and so on are the same, you can also just scan it once and multiply it this way.
Exactly, and this is something we were facing a lot of times the last month. So this is the easiest showcase to show for now, and gives a good sense in terms of what the use cases really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to continue here, what you can see here now is your full project list with also all the organization and projects you have in there. We just select the first floor to start with, because as in real life, we built the building from the floor, so from the ground up.
Exactly.
So let's select the first floor. In the next screen, we will see a preview of this project. In case you selected the wrong one, you can always go back. We see here a 3D preview. And on the left side, we have to select like what we would like to import in this empty project. We can either select the whole floor or single rooms, or also multiple single rooms by pressing the Shift button. You can see in the 3D view which ones we selected. You can also do it in the 3D view here by pressing the Shift button, and you see this small plus sign. In this case, we want to start with the whole first floor, so I select it here. And we press Insert. Yeah, this brings this existing project into our new project. You can see here it takes over all the data. I need to finish this first. I confirm here that I want to insert it like this. And we can see we imported all the data with all the naming for the different rooms and so on.
Even all nodes if attached.
All nodes, all objects we created. In this case, we have created like some objects, ceiling lamps, radiators, emergency exit signs, and so on.
All snapshots.
All snapshots. So we also here have all the images in it. It behaves just like a normal project, simple project that we have. And now it's time to add the second floor.
This is where the magic happens.
So we go to the here to the building, again to this small menu, and go to Insert, and we can say Insert New Floor. This new floor will be inserted above the existing one from a geometrical perspective, but also from a structural perspective of the building. So this is very important. So the data is synchronous here. And we add the second floor now. Let's again, so we again have the preview here. Let's select the whole second floor, insert it, and it is now, like we mentioned, inserted above the first one. And we now have this new transform tool that we can use to align or position the floor correctly above the other one. We will start now with the quick transform tool, and just to explain the toolbar here on top a little bit. So we have different tools that you can use to do the alignment here on the left part. Here we have some undo redo functionality. You can abort the transformation. We can confirm the transformation. In this case, it would stay like it is. And we also have a small help article here directly next to the tools, which explains like how to use it, some examples and so on. You can have a look at it if you need more information. In the first case, we want to start with the quick transform tool, which is a tool like that allows you to manipulate the geometry, to move around this whole floor very easily and quickly. But it might not be as precise as needed in some cases. we will explain the second use case when we add the next floor. So let's just use this tool first. You can see here we have these controls here in the center. The arrows allow you to move the whole floor in the respective direction. In this case, the Z and X axis, also Y. Then we have these arcs, which allow you to rotate the floor in the respective direction. And we have these squares, which allow you to move it around freely on this plane. So for example, in this case, the XZ plane. So what I will do now is try to align it as best as possible. So here in the XZ plane, and by rotating it around the vertical axis, let's see how that fits. And we see that, with just a few clicks, we have a quite okayish alignment now. If I did some mistakes or if I'm not happy with some action that I did, I can always revert it, also repeat it, so undo, redo. And if I'm happy with it, I can confirm the transformation. And these two projects have now been combined into a single one. Never forget to save. So I'm just saving our state now. And what we do now is add the third floor as well. So again, we go to the building, insert a new floor, select the third one, put it in there. Again, whole floor, because we want to build up the whole building. You see, like this is also, again, rotated another way. But this time, instead of using the quick transform tool, we will use the translate and rotation tools. When using these tools, it's always good to have a plan, like what would you like to do? In this case, I want to take like this corner of the upper floor and align it to this corner of the lower floor. So in this case, the tool already tells me, pick an anchor point in the 3D model. So I want to move this anchor point to here to align the two corners of these floors to another. There is some snapping on the geometries here, which helps me like find the proper spot. And what we will do now is to also fix the rotation, to put them one above another. We change to the rotation tool. Again, select the same anchor point because we want to rotate the whole model over this point. Select, now I took it. Select the direction, reference direction. And now we can freely rotate like the geometry around this point. In this case, we want to align it here to the external wall of the lower floor. So let's find a proper angle here. You can see again, we have a snapping here. And if I press now the mouse button, it is perfectly aligned to the lower floor. What some of you might have noticed is that we also moved the floor now one on top of each other. So we want to have a gap in here, most likely. So what we do then is we go back to the transform tool. And in this case, I will explain some other elements here in the toolbar, which is on one hand, the axis toggle. So in this case, we can, for the translation tool, we can select on which axis do we want to lock and which ones do we want to move our model in. So in this case, we want to just move it. We aligned it horizontally, but we want to move it vertically.
Did you tell that it's aligned to this one, right?
Yeah, the axes are the same as you can see here in the
Exactly.
axis. And in the axis of the scene. So we disable the X and Z axis because we just want to move it up and down. We select again our anchor point, which is here. The floors are stitched together now, and we say we want to have a 0.5 meter gap. That's where this intelligent text field comes into place. In this case, it recognizes, okay, the user selected just the y-axis, and if he puts in some relative measurements, then we can move, then it knows to move the geometry up by this amount of units, 0.5 meters, and with enter, I can confirm it, and it moved basically the geometry by exactly this amount. If I'm happy with it, I can confirm the transform again. And that was basically it. So it's very quick, even to align very precisely the floors above each other. And if I'm happy with the project, as mentioned before, the next step would be to export it. We can see here that we have some exports available, like the 2D DXF, 2D floor plan, and all of our IFC exports, also the special integrations with the different partners. are already active and working, and we are also working on enabling the remaining exports as well.
Yeah, export formats, yeah. Perfect. Great. We have a first question coming in here asking, how do you handle the problem of drifting during scanning? Is it, I'm just guessing now, is it the drift in between two floors, you mean? Then while scanning, you can't handle it really. I mean, you can, but you have to make sure that you're scanning really good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the clear answer to it. But we all know that it sometimes happens in between different floors. You know, that you scanned the first floor and the second floor, like it drifted a few degrees to the left, to the right. By adding it this way, we can already like put it back in the right angle. But even if we have a drift, we can do it. I mean, if we scanned like let's say a smaller project with 3 floors, then we can even do without merging it back and forth.
Exactly. So the transform tool is also available in existing projects.
Can we show it in another?
Yeah, sure. I think this one maybe has multiple floors. Yeah, also to explain here, like the selection tool also got some new options here. So the default is the wall mode. In this case, we want to, so it's different modes that toggle, like when I click at something, what will be selected. In this case, we have the surface mode, the wall mode, which is the previous default mode, the room mode. So you can see here, if I click anywhere inside a room, it will select the whole room. And we also have the story mode or the floor mode. If I click now somewhere in this floor, it will select everything, and I can use the transform tool then to manipulate it again. For example, if I notice a misrotation, I just can fix it now. Like
exactly. This. I hope this answers the question.
The other type of drift, obviously it's inherent in the capture process. So the only way to avoid it or to minimize it is to scan properly, follow the scanning guidelines, have a good device, have a good scanning strategy, and also like have some loop closings, it's called.
Exactly. It is basically following the rules of
the best practices that we always mention during
scanning. Of meter room scanning, depending on the object itself, of course, or the site, but basically scan room by room and use different sections. Section 1 for one room, section 2 for the next room, and if you follow those rules, we try to keep the drift as low as possible.
Yeah, so we are still, if you follow all those guidelines, you end up with a ±1% error as before.
Exactly. I hope this answers the question. If not, feel free to ask again. Another question. I noticed that when I scan rooms with walls that are not 90 degrees, it is not scanning perfectly. Also, when the walls springs for 10 or 20 centimeter, then the app can miss it. Yeah, that's right. that's right. I mean, jumping in here when it's not 90 degrees, I think you are the better one to explain it.
Yeah, it's so the direction of the wall or the wall itself is reconstructed based on the data the device captures. So usually we can say the more I capture of this wall, the more precise it will be captured. But obviously there are some optimizations in the background, like if the angle between two walls is 89 degrees or sometimes also 88 degrees, it depends like really on the circumstances. It can happen that the wall is set to 90 degrees then. But if this angle persists over a longer distance, it should be reconstructed in the proper angle. So it really depends on the underlying data that is captured. So try in these cases, if you end up with 90 degrees walls, try to scan more of the walls, more of the wall surface. That can help. Also, this like wall springs, I guess this is like some protrusions or whatever. One thing that you can do here during scanning is to basically scan your room normally until you come to such a spot. Then finish the current section and start a new one, because at the start of a new section, the whole reconstruction pipeline is much more sensitive to smaller details. I mean, a 1 or 2 centimeter gap or protrusion will not be found, but if it's like 10 or 20 centimeters, it should be picked up. The longer such a scan section is active, the larger such a section gets, basically the less it is sensitive to such details, because the data gets more and more and more.
Yeah. And this is why we say scan room by room, not try to capture a whole building like with or a whole site with 150 square meters, because the data bulk gets bigger and bigger. And
it is always possible to create more sections.
Exactly. And from what we can tell is on top of that, if you have those what you call if we call it springs or small pieces of walls, which is in the German speaking market, there is a lot of behind toilets, there is those like small wall pieces. Try to work with snapshots here. The better you snapshot it, the easier it is to recreate a box out of it in Mediaroom Workspace, to get like the dimensions of it and take it to a third party CAD program, whatever you use, and recreate it there. Because this is what they are really good at. So always try to capture as much as possible and do a lot of snapshots, because every surface, every object will be somehow recreatable in Mediaroom Workspace, and from there you can take it.
Yeah, and obviously we are always trying to improve also the reconstruction, but these are like really tough cases. Sometimes you are even within the like margin of error of the captured data, so it's very challenging to have here a fully automated reconstruction, but we are working on it.
Another one, if you have an old building with a lot of different size rooms and the floors are floating together, recessed in different sizes, would you then have to scan each room in the building and then import the whole building room-wise instead of floor-wise? Would that be possible?
This is a very complex question. So let me ask if I understood it correctly. So you have a building with a lot of different rooms with differing floor height. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, yes, we would, or the only way to do it is create single scans for each room. With what helps you here is to take some snapshots of the other floor elevations, so that you have a reference where to put, when you combine them, where to put them. And then you need to build it up basically room by room, if they all have different heights. But this also helps you in basically creating split level buildings. Here, obviously, it's easier because you have much larger parts that have the same floor height. But our 3D model is limited by having just one floor height per scan. But you can now work around this by creating multiple scans and then merging them together.
This is right, but we have to make sure to tell the people that we are not there yet when it comes to like put rooms in the same floor together.
Yeah, so it's possible now with the tool, but that's one reason why it's already also in beta. We need to learn here more, like how the geometry is the geometry already usable like it is now, or are there more improvements needed in this regard?
Yeah, I guess this is the right answer. Jumping over again to here. When will the beta new features will be released?
Yeah, that's a good question. It really depends like on the feedback that we get. So that's also why we wanted to ship it early and learn really from the customers.
I think if I understand the question right.
When the beta is released, it's already out there.
From what you see now, you can do it in your own account already since last week, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
We just sneaked the new features in, like to give it a try ourselves. And it's already there. You can just give it a try, like try to merge different scans already now, play around. We are always super thankful for feedback.
Yeah, it's available for everyone for free, basically, now in this beta. Now.
Yes. Jumping over again to the Q&A section. Are there any plans to improve the detection and automatic modeling of furniture and fixtures? We find that tables, desks, and other rooms' contents are often missing or simplified in the final model. I mean, this is a hard one. Like, so let's just, when it comes to to desks and tables. What we are putting into the 3D model is basically placeholders, because the original table from 1898 we won't find.
Yeah, so it is not our goal also to reconstruct this. What we basically have for every furniture piece is just its rough dimensions.
Yeah.
So you can imagine it as a box fitting around this furniture item.
Yeah.
And what we do for visualization purposes, put a standard model in there which fits those sides.
Exactly. Because from what we learned in the last 3 years is basically that people working with like larger sizes go into Revit. It's more or less that they have their own library of furniture and exchanging them to the library library items. I think it depends on what you want to do with it. I mean, even working with a point cloud, you're going to have a hard time to recreate a table or whatever it is. It could be possible if you work with point clouds, like to get closer to the original object. But this is something we are not going to look into further in the
Yeah, so we don't want to our solution is not about like capturing in realistic detail, high resolution detail the environment, but it's more about understanding the environment, building up the building structure. Geometry is basically the means of connecting everything. But we are more about, like how Apple calls it, spatial intelligence. So figure out like how many objects of a certain type are within the room, what are the square meters of walls, for example, that I need to remodel, or I had a damage somewhere, how big is this wall. So we are really trying to so from a scan to create a building model that lets you break down the data in numbers.
Yeah, I think to the one who asked the question, it could be interesting to understand your use case a little better. Is it about like counting tables and desks in general, or do you want to have it like
interior design, basically to have a realistic representation of what you scanned?
Exactly. Like to give a clearer answer here, I would say. But yeah, as Lucas said, it's more or less like just to show that there is an object there. How about staircases? We used to scan the whole staircase, all levels in one scan when we scanned bigger buildings. Then we use staircases as height reference to combine single scans in third-party software like Revit or Forma.
Yeah, you would do it the same here now, but you can already combine the model inside MetaRoom now.
That's the answer.
Yeah, that's already a very good approach of scanning those staircases, because usually they are quite how do I say, the structure extends like vertically, so the footprint of this staircase remains the same vertically, so it makes sense to capture them like floor by floor using different sections. Then you also get these floor levels, so that's already a very good approach. Now what you can do is, instead of combining everything in Revit or Forma, you can combine it in MetaRoom and use it for multiple exports then.
Yeah, and as Lucas said, like jumping a bit to another topic, that thing with having split levels, which is quite common in all countries now, from what we're facing, makes it way easier for us now to put it back together if you take the right references to align them again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but these are like interesting cases where we also would like to ask you for your feedback, like in your existing workflows. Do you see any problems? Does it work better now for your workflows or whatever? We're interested in the experiences you have.
Yes, we are very, very interested, because the more feedback we get, the better we can work on it. Having that said, it seems like that we answered all questions so far. There is a bit of time left. If there is open questions, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, I think we showed everything so far. I hope you guys got a good understanding of what we are trying to build here and in which direction we are jumping from here or going from here. I mean, there's a lot of other things we have on our to-do list. And that's a long one.
Yes.
our to-do list.
That's true.
Yeah, I just see someone typing right now, just waiting for the question there, and then jumping over. There's someone here. What if you have an open staircase and open floor? Would you scan the floor for itself and the staircase for itself?
An open staircase and open floor. Yeah, I mean, like it always depends, like on the characteristics of the building. If it makes more sense this way, obviously you can do it. So the solution is flexible. It really depends also on the result you want to achieve afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to say yes or no in this case without having seen it.
For example, in the hospital use case, it was not so much about the staircases, but rather to visualize all the rooms properly in each floor. In this case, we didn't scan the staircase as in one go above, so across all floors, but we kept it. So we always scanned the parts, part of the current floor that we were scanning, because the result was used that way. So because 2D floor plans were interesting for them, they are anyway always split into the different floors.
Short input that came into my mind is, as a alignment help, architectural grid lines to input would be a good help.
Yes, that's something that we already had on our radar.
We are jumping back into the workspace right now. There we go.
So you can also see like this gear wheel here and on the top. And here, for example, you can activate the stage origin, which already gives you some kind of guidelines. Of course, it's also possible to have some kind of grid in here to help you with the alignment. That's a good point. Yes, something to improve.
Always good. Thank you.
Also, like if there are no other questions, you also have some other options here to change the language, change the units, and also change the camera from a perspective view to an orthographic view, which sometimes also helps with alignment and so on. Yeah, if there are still questions afterwards, just reach out to us. We're always there.
We're always there to answer the questions. Feel free to give it a try. Feel free to write us your feedback. And by that, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining. If there is need for other webinars, for other helps, you could find it on our YouTube channel. There is, as Lucas said in the beginning, there is a lot of help content there. Other than that, thank you. We are saying goodbye from Salzburg out to the English-speaking world in this case. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.